Hey everyone, this is Stagg's brand new EBT-10 Electronic Beat Tutor. The EBT-10 is a fantastic product whether you wanted to maintain your current skills or improve on your speed, stamina and timekeeping abilities. Essentially it's a practice pad with a built-in metronome, so you don't have to carry two things around. And as well as having two metronome functions, it also has 4 training modes, so it can give you a lot more ideas on how to improve, and it makes practicing and developing a lot more fun. We turn it on, everything flashes for 1 second and it brings us to the first metronome mode. To start it, you just hit play. Hit play again to stop it. Now what's cool about this is we can adjust the beats, the tempo and the rhythms really easily by hitting the select button. Just hit it once and you can see it flashing. That means I can adjust it using the arrow keys up and down. Now we can have from 0 to 9 beats per bar, from 30 to 260 BPM on the tempo. And then my favourite feature of this are the rhythms. There's 7 different rhythms. We've got quarters, eighths, triplets, sixteenths, and then combinations of eighth notes and sixteenths to give you different subdivisions and sounds when you're practicing. An example of this would be here. It makes using a pad a lot more fun and a lot more beneficial. To get to the second metronome mode, we just hit metronome. Now although we can still adjust the beats in the bar, the way that you find the tempo on this one is tap tempo. That means you hit the pad and it will register how quickly you're playing. And then hit play. It's a really useful feature, whether or not you want to just find out the tempo of a certain song or whether or not you're using it as a live metronome and you didn't start the song. What's nice about it is once you hit play, the tempo won't change when you hit it. Not until you hit play again to stop it, and then you could put in a different tempo. Really useful feature. To go onto the training modes, we just hit train. This brings us to our first training mode, which is a stroke meter. This training helps you develop your speed, endurance, finesse, relaxation and control by calculating how many strokes you can play with a chosen time limit. The way that we adjust this is with the up and down keys, and we can see the clock will go up and down in 5-second increments from 10 seconds all the way up to 90 seconds. Once you hit the pad, it's going to count exactly how many times you do hit the pad within that time limit. Once you get down to 0 on the clock, it won't count your hits anymore. I think this is really useful because it's a good mark to give you a reference as to where you've improved and whether or not you have improved. It's also good for a bit of friendly competition with your friends. It makes practicing a lot more fun. The second training mode is a groove play along. There are 9 different styles of drum groove for you to play along with, and you can adjust the tempo as well as the mute bars for practicing drum fills. I think this is really useful because I often think it's a lot more beneficial practicing to music or grooves than it is to a click. So if we hit play, you can hear that. Now as I said, we've got different styles of groove in there, from rock grooves to shuffles to Latin grooves and odd time grooves. So it's really good. But as I said, we can have count and mute bars. So we've got C and M for bars counted, which are with the groove, and mute bars where it drops out. And we've got different combinations. We've got 1 and 1, 2 and 2, 3 and 1, 4 and 4, 6 and 2, 7 and 1, 8 and 8, 8 and 4. Or none, where you just get the straight groove. So to show you what the 1 and 1 would do, we'd get a bar of groove and then a bar of mute for you to practice fills. We still get the LEDs at the top. So the third training mode is the count and mute training. This training helps you to develop your timekeeping abilities by giving you a certain amount of bars with a click and then a certain amount of bars without a click. And then the click will come back in and you can see whether or not your timing's sped up, slowed down, or whether you're dead on. I do this kind of thing a lot with my students, and to see it in a pad is brilliant. because quite often you don't have someone else there to quickly turn the metronome on silent and then turn it back on when you're playing on the pad. So we've got all the same features as in the metronome mode. We've got beats, tempo and rhythms with the same amount of adjustments. And then we can choose how many bars we want to have the click for. In this case I'll choose 3. And then how many bars we want to have muted. In this case I'll choose 1. When we're muted, the lights at the top will stop as well, so there's no way of cheating. If I hit play, you'll see the use of it. So it's really, really useful, and you can adjust those obviously so that you can go much longer without. You can have all the way up to 9 bars with and without. So you can really stretch your timekeeping abilities with that. It's really, really beneficial, and in my opinion, the best way to work on your timekeeping. Okay, so the last training mode is a tempo step up, step down training. This one's a lot of fun and is really, really useful at identifying problems. It helps you increase your proficiency, stamina, and endurance by gradually increasing and decreasing speed with a programmable tempo range. So although you can see we've still got the metronome adjustments of the beats, the tempo and the rhythms, this time we've got beats and measures, or bars, basically of where we're going to adjust from. So I'll show you how this works. If we go over to tempo, this will be your starting tempo. So we're just going to go up a little way, maybe to 150. And then if we hit it again, we've now got the return, which means that we're going to go up in tempo, and we get to choose at what point the tempo starts going back down. So we'll go from 150 to 170. And then the beats means how many BPM it will jump by each time it goes up or down. So in this case, we'll stick with 1. And then the measures is how many measures or bars it's going to be until a change. So if we leave it 1 and 1, every bar, then the BPM will go up by 1. If we choose every 2 bars, then the BPM will go up after 2 bars of each. So you can set exactly for how long you stay at a certain tempo. So if I leave it as is now, then once we hit play, it's going to go from 150 to 170, back down and up and down repeatedly. As I said, this is a really, really, really good way of marking any problem points. Once we get to 170, it's going to come back down. I think this is really useful, not only for targeting at what point it becomes difficult, but also it's a great way of increasing your speed because it's a much easier way of increasing and decreasing, much more gradual. But I also think it's a great way to warm up because a lot of the time you don't want to just jump in at a really high tempo and strain yourself. So with this you could start at somewhere comfortable, go up to somewhere a little bit beyond where you are, and then just about get there, come back down, and it's a really great way of working your way through. So this pad has got the 4 training modes and the 2 metronome modes all built in. It's the only thing you need to carry along, and it's very, very portable, very useful, just a great, great product. Every drummer needs one of these pads.